What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm making NFL Week 13 picks, so let's hop into it. And if you like this type of stuff, please consider subscribing to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me. But anyway, last week my record was 9-7 picking these games, which isn't great overall, but there was 10 divisional matchups last week, so I'll take the 9-7 record. And on top of that, I did get a score right last week. I got the score right in the Raiders-Chiefs game, so I am kind of proud of that. That was the first time this entire season I've gotten an NFL score right. But regardless, that brings my overall record to 106-74. And this week, we actually have 6 teams on their bye. We have the Chicago Bears, the Buffalo Bills, the New York Giants, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Minnesota Vikings. So there's only 13 games this week. But without further ado, let's just hop straight into it. And the first game we have right here on Thursday Night Football, we have the Seattle Seahawks against the Dallas Cowboys. And both of these teams played on Thanksgiving last week, so this is their second Thursday night game in a row. The Seahawks, they lost to the 49ers. The Cowboys, they got a pretty easy win against the Commanders. And in my opinion about these two teams, it seems like they're kind of on different trajectories right now. The Cowboys are on the up and up. The Seahawks, even though they are 6-5, they've lost their past couple of games and they're just kind of trending downwards. And the Rams are kind of playing good in that division, so there's a chance the Rams could overtake them. So the Seahawks kind of desperately need a win right here. The Cowboys with a win right here would be huge just because the 49ers and the Eagles play this week, so one of those teams is going to get a loss. So if the Cowboys get a win right here, it will be good for them, not only within the division against the Eagles, but in the NFC as a whole. And I do have the Cowboys winning this game against the Seahawks. And I really don't think it's going to be that close, the final score at least, as I do have the Cowboys winning it by a score of 34-16. And then moving on over to our Sunday slate of games, we have a divisional matchup. This time it is in the AFC South. We have the Indianapolis Colts on the road at the Tennessee Titans. The Colts coming off a win. The Titans also coming off a win. The Colts haven't even lost in the month of November, so they're playing really good football. They're sitting at 6-5, and the Colts are sitting right behind the Jaguars in that division. With the Texans lost last week, that just made it all the much closer and kind of makes this game a must-win right here. Tennessee, their season's kind of done with. They have very slim hopes, but a win here could turn things around, but I don't really see that happening. Gardner Minshew, this Colts team, like I said before, haven't lost in the month of November, and I don't think the losing is going to start right here for them. So I do have the Colts winning this close game right here by a score of 24-14. Then we have the Los Angeles Chargers on the road at the New England Patriots. The Chargers lost last week to the Baltimore Ravens in a game that didn't really surprise a lot of people. They even had a chance to win it, but they just fell short in the end, so that sucks for them. The Patriots, on the other hand, they lost to the Giants. Mac Jones got benched again, so that makes 4 times this season that he has been benched. And in my opinion, for this Patriots team, just start Bailey Zappi. Like, what is there to lose at this point in the season? Like, it's already a wash, and I don't think it benefits anybody really to start Mac Jones in games and then bench him in the second half. So just start Zappi in this game, and then if he sucks, put Mac Jones in the second half, because at this point they should be willing to just try anything. And I do think the Chargers win this game right here against the Patriots, and I have them winning it by a score of 20-10. Then we have the Detroit Lions on the road at the New Orleans Saints. The Lions lost on Thanksgiving last week to the Packers, and they kind of look like the same old Lions. The Saints lost to the Falcons last week, and they lost their division lead, so that sucks. It sucks for both of these teams last week, but Detroit has to win this game in my opinion. Granted, they are still leading their division, but every win matters, and Detroit needs to prove that they belong with the top dogs in the NFC. So in order to prove that, they need to beat teams like the Saints, which I have them doing this week, so I do have the Lions winning this game by a score of 27-17. Then we have the Atlanta Falcons on the road at the New York Jets. The Falcons beat the Saints last week, like I just said. The Jets, on the other hand, they did lose again. Switching up their quarterback situation and starting Boyle over Wilson really didn't pan out, and I'm pretty sure Robert Saleh is giving him a second chance this week against the Falcons. And if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you need to capitalize on this game right here. The NFC South sucks, and they need every win they can get. They need to separate themselves from the rest of the division. And what better way to do that than the struggling New York Jets? I know it's a road game, but still they should be able to beat the Jets. And I do have them winning this game by a score of 16-13, as I think it'll be a close one-score game. Then we have the Arizona Cardinals on the road right here at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Cardinals did lose last week to the Rams. The Steelers, on the other hand, they did beat Jake Browning and the Cincinnati Bengals, and they finally gained over 400 yards. They finally outgained their opponents. And what was it, like the first time in like 3 years that they had over 400 yards? So getting rid of Matt Canada was definitely a good move by the Steelers right here. So for this team's sake, hopefully they can keep that up. They can outgain the Cardinals right here, beat a much inferior team, keep their playoff hopes alive in the tight AFC. And I do have the Steelers winning this game right here against the Arizona Cardinals. And with the way their offense played last week, I expect them to do that once again, gain over 400 yards, outgain the Cardinals as a whole. And I do think they'll score 30 points this week, as I have them winning this game by a score of 30-10. Then we have the Miami Dolphins on the road at the Washington Commanders. The Commanders coming off a loss, the Dolphins coming off a win. And this is one of those games where I really don't think it's going to be much competition. Maybe the Commanders can put up a fight, but I don't really see a way in which the Commanders stay competitive this whole time, that the Commanders can shut down Miami's explosive offense. So I really don't have that much input on this game right here, but I do have the Dolphins winning it by a score of 31-20. Then we have a pretty important AFC matchup right here. We have the 6-5 Denver Broncos at the 6-5 Houston Texans. The Broncos coming off a win last week against Cleveland. The Texans coming off a loss last week against Jacksonville. Both of these teams are sitting at 6-5. I want to say Houston has the last wild card spot right now, but if Denver wins it, they boost themselves into that spot. And what a turnaround season it has been for Denver. They're playing really well right now, and they're another team that hasn't lost in the month of November. Right now, Denver is a team you really don't want to play. And granted, Houston, on the other hand, they're shocking a lot of people with the way that they've been playing this season. But I have a hard time seeing them beating the Broncos right here, even though the game is at home, because this Broncos defense has been stingy. They've been taking the ball away a ton in their win streak, and I do have the Broncos on the road. I don't know if this is an upset right here, but I have the Broncos on the road beating the Texans by a score of 28-24. And then back over to the NFC South, we have the Carolina Panthers on the road at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Panthers might already be eliminated from the playoffs, if not another loss here or another loss next week all but eliminates them. The Buccaneers probably hanging on by a thread at this point. Their division sucks, so there is a chance if Tampa Bay goes on a run that they can catch up to the Falcons and maybe take the lead, maybe squeak into the playoffs. But we'll just have to see how that all pans out. And once again, in this game, I do have Tampa Bay winning it. I don't really have too much thought going into this game right here, but I do think it'll be relatively close just because it is a divisional game. But I do have the Buccaneers winning it by a score of 26-20. Then we have the Cleveland Browns right here on the road at the Los Angeles Rams. The Browns coming off a loss, the Rams coming off a win. And even though the Browns are 7-4, injuries have absolutely destroyed this team. Myles Garrett got sidelined in that Broncos game with a shoulder injury. Amari Cooper left the game. DTR left the game. The Browns did sign Joe Flacco last week, so there is a chance he can start in this game right here against the Rams. But with him being, 38 years old, I don't know how that bodes for the Browns. The Rams, on the other hand, they have won a couple in a row, so if they can string a few more wins together, I do believe they can get right back into the thick of it in the NFC. The Seahawks are kind of on the decline. The 49ers are probably a lock to win that division. But like I said, if the Rams keep winning games, they're a team that I could see squeak into one of the final wild card spots. And I do have the Rams beating the Browns right here. I don't know if it's really an upset with how injured the Browns are, but I do have the Rams winning this game by a score of 24-13. And then we have the game of the week. We have the San Francisco 49ers on the road at the Philadelphia Eagles. 49ers sitting at 8-3 coming off a win. The Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 10-1, also coming off a win over the Buffalo Bills. And in the previous week, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Eagles just knocked off two top-tier AFC teams. They have the 49ers coming into town, and this should be a really good game. And if you watch my videos, you know I've picked the Eagles over both the Chiefs and the Bills. But this week, I'm actually going to go against the Eagles and pick the 49ers, just because watching those games that the Eagles played these past few weeks, game against the Chiefs, they could have very easily lost that had some of the Chiefs receivers made some catches. The Bills game last week, the Eagles were letting them convert on 3rd and 7 so many times. It was a huge weakness. They'd get them into 3rd and medium, 3rd and long situations, but they just couldn't close the deal, and Buffalo kept drives alive. They kept scoring, and they probably should have scored in overtime, but Josh Allen kind of threw it to the wrong spot. If you watch that game, you definitely know what I mean. But the Eagles are definitely beatable right here. The 49ers, they're playing good football. They had that 3-game losing streak earlier in the season, but I definitely do believe that they've put it all together at this point. And even though the Eagles have the best record in the NFL at this point, they do still have holes on their team. They still do have weak points, and I think the 49ers can exploit those right here and get a road upset win against the Eagles. And I have the 49ers winning this game by a score of 27-24. Then on Sunday Night Football, we have the Kansas City Chiefs on the road at the Green Bay Packers. Chiefs coming off a win, the Packers also coming off a win. And this game has the potential to be a really good game if Jordan Love decides to show up. If he plays like he did in Detroit a week ago, this game could be a really fun one. If he kind of regresses, comes back down to earth, kind of like the roller coaster ride he's kind of been on this season. The Chiefs could very easily run away with this game. If this game goes into a shootout between the two teams, I do like the Chiefs if they can catch the ball. Or if the Packers, if Jordan Love doesn't show up, turns the ball over a few times, I see the Packers having a very hard time winning this game. But regardless of what type of game it is, I think overall the Chiefs do have a more complete offense, a more complete defense. So I do have the Chiefs winning this game against the Packers by a score of 35-24. And then closing out the week on Monday Night Football, we have the Cincinnati Bengals on the road at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Bengals lost to the Steelers last week. The Jaguars got a huge win over the Houston Texans. And this is a game that at the beginning of the season had the potential to be one of the best games of the year with Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence going back and forth. But with Joe Burrow's season-ending wrist injury, it'll be Jake Browning once again at the Bengals quarterback spot. But if the Bengals play like they did last week, I very easily see the Jaguars being able to run away with this game. And without Joe Burrow, even though the Bengals do have some weapons on offense, I don't think that's enough for them to overcome this Jacksonville Jaguars team that is playing really good right now. So I do have the Jaguars winning this game against the Cincinnati Bengals by a score of 27-10. So yeah, those are my NFL Week 13 picks. There was only 13 games this week, so 13 games in Week 13. But yeah, regardless, let me know what you guys think down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you with another video. God bless.